There's a strong argument to be made that Hot Wheels 2018 Car Culture Circuit Legend set is the best one Hot Wheels has ever done in their 50-year history. Now, there's a couple of contenders for that crown. Certainly, Vintage Racing from 2011, where they did all those great Trans Am cars like Parnelli Jones Mustang and Mark Donohue's AMC Javelin are certainly up there. But I think as a 5-car set, this is about as good as it gets. I remember when these were revealed originally, I was very excited about all of them, but particularly about one, and we'll get to that one towards the end of this video. But as the cars started to leak out and people were starting to sell them, I realized very quickly that these cars are going to be a scalper's paradise. So rather than test the waters with New Jersey Walmarts, which are notoriously terrible, I decided to just go online to a reputable dealer and buy the full case. So figured, why not review the set? I will be talking about in this video not only the die-cast models themselves and the fantastic artwork on the packaging, but also the real-life racing escapades of these 5 race cars. I think you'll be in for a really interesting treat. The first car we will be looking at is also the first one in the set, the Shelby Daytona Coupe. Now, this car is specifically modeled on the 1965 Sebring 12-hour GT winner. Now, this car finished 4th overall in the 1965 Sebring 12 hours. It didn't actually win overall, but it was driven by Bob Bondurant and Joe Schlescher. So it's kind of cool to see a retro GT car and actually have it be a specific livery. Now, of course, the Shelby American team was very successful with these purpose-built cars, which were partially funded by Ford Motor Company, and this car actually eventually led to the genesis of the GT40 program, or at least the success of the GT40 program. Real quick, we're going to be taking a look at the back of the card because we want to take a look at all the cars that are in the set, and of course, they're all here, but this will be the only time we'll take a look at the back of the box. But I do like to see the artwork. It kind of reminds me of like a spotter's guide. So let's rip this thing open. It's an absolutely good looking car, but I have to say the molding isn't 100% perfect, and we'll be talking about that very shortly. So here's a close-up on the Shelby Daytona, the Sebring winner, the Bondurant Schlescher car. It's I think Hot Wheels put together a really solid effort here for what they had to work with. This is an older mold. I think it came originally around the mid-2000s, and at that point in Hot Wheels, they were really focusing on the hot rodding up of cars. It's kind of unfortunate because it doesn't quite give it the level of accuracy that I know sticklers like me really want. But they did go all out. They gave you the Goodyear Eagle tires, which even some of the premium models in this set don't have printing on the tires. But it's nice to see that they went that extra mile for this one. And again, it is cool that they did their research and went to the annals of history and pulled a car out of the 12 hours of Sebring, particularly a class winner. This is almost like the Ford GT car that we'll be looking at later in this video. It's a car that, it wasn't an overall winner. It wasn't a prototype car, but it was certainly one that was historically significant and a car that was able to win its classes and actually really kind of turn up the heat in the Ford-Ferrari battle for supremacy, and that was even really before the GT40 became a real staple. Let's take a closer look at some of the logos here. You got the Daytona logo, Goodyear, Coney, and another small one that I can't read. You got the GT logo, the beautiful Goodyear Eagles. I wish they were a little bit thicker, but it's nice that they got the printing on there, and as small as that is, I don't think that's no small feat to get that printing just right. So yeah, this is a really nice one. It's metal, as all of these are, and it's just a really nice piece of die-cast, particularly if you can find it in the stores. I mean, these car culture cars are really just great for the price point that they ask for them. And because they're Hot Wheels cars, they like to roll, as you can see. There we go. Nope, it's still rolling. So the next numbered car in the set is the 1969 Copo Corvette. Now, this car isn't specific to a specific race car, at least in my research. There's a couple cars, that, according to Google at least, that it seems like they based this car off of, but it's not actually a specific 1969 Copo Corvette, though it is a nice-looking car, of course, and they definitely did a good job to try to replicate a real-life livery. So let's get this bad boy open. I think only one of these in real life exists in terms of a Copo Corvette that's like a GT car. So I think that's fairly unique as a racing machine. So it's not a bad choice, even though it's maybe not as desirable as many of the other cars in this set. So here's the Copo Corvette, the one that I suspect if there is a peg warmer from this set, it's probably going to be this one. That being said, I mean, it's still a brilliant model. I mean, it's a really nice looking car. Again, it's kind of a GT vintage car. This one actually would look nice. Look at this. Look at how timely this is. That one would look nice with a Gulf 917. It's about the same vintage in terms of a GT and prototype car. So if you have one of those, maybe pair it up with this, and it'll look pretty good. But yeah, it just they definitely went the extra mile, I think, here to give you an accurate representation of what a GT car looked like in 1969. Very minimal on the sponsor decals because that's how it was. It was mostly just contingency sponsors and little companies that were associated with the race, and maybe your manufacturer logo. Let's take a close look quickly at some of the logos on there. We got Coney and Goodyear. So a few of the ones that are already licensed out to other cars are on this one. Let's see if I can read that one. I cannot, but maybe somebody else can tell me what that one is. And then we've got the Chevrolet logos, Corvette. We got a Copo 69 license plate on there. So definitely some cool attention to detail as well as headlights. There's headlight printing on all these cars, and I really appreciate it. So even if you're not the biggest fan of the Copo Camaro or the Copo Corvette, that was a big mistake, I would say it's worth picking up. Here's one of the cars in the set that has a lot of hype surrounding it, the Porsche 962. Now this car has already been released in the car culture line, though it certainly hasn't been released with such an accurate livery. This car, from what I can gather, is a WEC and Japanese sports prototype racing car from the mid-1980s. Specifically, this livery I can attribute to the 1987 World Endurance Championship at Fuji Speedway. The team name is Advan Alpha Nova. You gotta love some Japanese racing team names. It actually placed 11th overall in the race, and it was driven by, and this is going to be tough, Kimitsu Takahashi, Kenny Atchison, there we go, and Kazu Moji. There you go. That's my tongue twister for the day. But the card artwork on this one is absolutely fantastic. I think they actually modeled this after Fuji because it always rains at Le Mans, and it also always rains at Fuji. So let's get this thing out of the box. This is going to be one of the more desirable ones, I suspect, because everybody loves their Porsche 962s, and everybody definitely loves their Group C cars. No doubt about it. Oh yeah, I can see why people are so hyped for this one. It's an absolutely lovely, lovely representation of a Porsche 962. I love the attention to detail here, particularly on the car that they were modeling. The Fuji Advan team's car actually ran these streamliner rims in the front and then some more conventional ones in the back. Circuits were much faster back in these days, particularly in Europe and Japan, where the 962 was one of the cars of choice. And a lot of teams just always tried to streamline these cars to make them go faster. In fact, the Jaguar team used wheel spats on the rear of the car to try to just streamline and get that straightaway speed even faster. And I mentioned that this car is from Japan, which is very interesting because you would think that for a Porsche 962 that you would maybe go the IMSA route or even the World Endurance Championship route, maybe do a knockoff Rothman's car. But the designer chose to go with one from the Japanese Sports Prototype Championship, which is interesting because it's not even the only 962. We've had two Porsche 962s released at the moment. There's another one coming, which is a Momo version. But at the moment, the two that have been released in car culture, including this Goretti car, or G-Retti, I'm not sure exactly how to say it, but this car also raced in the Japan Prototype Championship. So it's really crazy that the two 962s we have right now are of a Japanese influence. And this one just, I mean, it's just so good. They have definitely added a lot more detail than the previous iterations of this car. Let's just take a closer look at it with the headlight here. Let's see if we can actually get the car to focus. There we go. And the headlights, the printing of the number, it's all pretty much correct. It's not 100%. There's some sponsors that they don't have on there that are on the real car. but in terms of an approximation to what raced in 1987, I mean, this is pretty freaking close. It's, man, I can see why people, a lot of people say that this is their most anticipated car of this set. It's absolutely lovely. I'm so happy that Hot Wheels has started making real-life Group C cars because they really take the cake. Here's the car that will more than likely be the most desirable for the modern racing fan. This is the 2016 Ford GT Race. Now, of course, many of us Smart Mark racing fans will know this as a Ford GTE or a Ford GTLM, depending on what series you follow. This is the 1966. No, this is the 66 car, easy for me to say, from the 2016 24 Hours of Le Mans. Now, what's interesting is there's a bit of a misnomer. This is not the car that actually won the race. The car that won the race was car number 68. This, of course, is car number 66. It placed 21st overall in the race. It was driven by Olivier Pla, Stefan Muka, and Billy Johnson. Of course, this is the official Chip Ganassi Racing or Ford Chip Ganassi Racing livery, and it's fantastic that we finally got the proper livery. It's been so long, but it's been too long. So now it's time to crack this thing open. Beautiful, beautiful car, and I'm so glad they finally got around to doing it the proper way. And you do get some extra plastic in there with some of these more desirable cars to keep them nice and safe. So yeah, our one modern car for this set, and it's a great choice. It's one of the more popular, more iconic GT cars, the Ford GT, and it's great. It's so great. Like I said, to see it in the Chip Ganassi Racing livery, this is what everybody knows, everybody loves. They've done a couple, at least you tried, knockoff versions of this, but it's so nice to see the red, white, and blue with the green numbers. That's just perfect. Now, there are some slight issues with this car. We'll point them out here in just a second. But the mold itself is just absolutely bang on. I mean, if you've ever seen a Ford GT race in real life, this is pretty much what it looks like. Maybe the rear tires are a little bit wider or larger than they would be in real life. But outside of that, the mold is pretty bang on the money. Now, there is a couple issues with this one that I otherwise haven't really noticed on other models. Because the base coat is red, when they printed the white over it, I don't even know if you can tell, but the red kind of bleeds through just a little bit and gives a little bit of a pink color, at least on the doors. It doesn't really seem to be on the front of the car, but at least on the doors, I'm seeing a little bit of red coming through. You can definitely see it here on the air inlets at the front of the car. And also on the rear wing, I don't know what they could have done here, but this really should be a white main plane with red end plates, and they didn't go for that detail. That's a bit unfortunate, but in the grand scheme of things, it's better than nothing, I suppose. And also, you have a GT logo rather than a 24 Hours of Le Mans logo. I'm guessing Spark owns the exclusive rights to do the 164 Le Mans cars, so that's a bit unfortunate. But outside of that, I mean, just look at that view. I mean, that's perfect. Yeah, I'm very happy with this one. I think, again, I think a lot of modern racing fans, a lot of people who maybe are kind of casual into sports cars, going to be picking this one up because of the association with Chip Ganassi Racing, which, of course, runs Indy cars and NASCAR. Everybody knows them. Everybody somewhat loves them. Yeah, I think a lot of people are going to be going after this Ford. But to me personally, this car is the absolute star of the set. The Mazda 787B, the first time Hot Wheels has done a model of this car, and really, for American fans of the Mazda 787B Le Mans Racing, this is the first time we've ever been able to get it in the United States in the 164 scale. Now, other companies have done it, like Tomica and some other very expensive ones that are close to $50 and $100 for a 164 scale, but this one I knew I had to get. This is one of the reasons I was convinced to buy this set outright, because I just don't know how available this one's going to be, because I think it's going to be very, very desirable, as Mazdas usually are. Now, this car is from the 1991 24 Hours of Le Mans, but it may not be that familiar to you if you are familiar with the 1991 24 Hours of Le Mans, because this is not the car, this is not the 787B that won the race. There were 3 Mazda team entries. 2 of those were the 787B. This car did not win. You may be more familiar with perhaps a green and orange livery with the Renown sponsorship. That car was the one that won. This car did actually finish respectably. It finished in 6th place overall. It was driven by David Kennedy, Stefan Johansson, and Maurizio Sandro Sala. And yeah, it just didn't get quite to the level of success of its sister car, so a lot of people have forgotten about it. It's been made famous in a few video games, but certainly not to the point where it's like the cult classic that Gran Turismo turned the Renown livery into. Now, this car does have a removable feature. We'll be taking a look at that, and I have to say, I'm very excited about this one. This one's absolutely fantabulous, and I can't wait to get it out. So why wait any longer? And I almost hate to rip these boxes because they're just so beautiful artwork-wise. And yeah, there is a problem with the rear wing that we will talk about. It does look like it's kind of been in a rear-end collision, but we'll see. So here it is, my numero uno from this set, the Mazda 787B. Wow, I cannot even believe that Hot Wheels did this one, and particularly not the Renown car. I can't believe they did the car that finished 6th. I mean, usually the diecast companies go straight for the kill. They go straight for the Renown livery car. They went for this one. Props to Hot Wheels. That took some guts to do, and the mold is pretty much perfect. I say pretty much because there is a problem. It has to do with this rear wing. We'll talk about that in just a second as we do the 360 of the car. Outside of the rear wing, I mean, it's bang on. I mean, it's perfect. I love the rear rims, which are the proper color, and I think even the proper spokes. And then you've got another aerodynamic front wheel. Again, that's to get the car down the Mulsanne straight as quickly as possible. Now, at the rear of the car, this car does have a removable feature, and for some reason, they decided to go with a very soft plastic for this rear wing. And as you can see, in the bubble, it does get a little bit off kilter, off center. Now, I was actually able to warp mine back just using my burly strength pretty well straight. And I think if you use a hairdryer or whatnot to get this rubbery plastic to kind of reset, I think that's the best way to do it. But outside of that, well, I guess I should say the reason for that wing to be the way it is, I suppose, is for this, which is nice because we barely get this ever on Hot Wheels cars anymore. And we have a removable rear deck lid. And there's not a whole lot of paint detail in there, but there is a whole lot of molding detail in there to take a look at the 3-rotor engine that powered this car, well, its sister car, to the overall win at the 24 Hours of Le Mans. That is really neat. I really, really like it. And actually, I think they went with gold on the underside of the car to give a little bit more detail in there. I was actually wondering why they went with a gold bottom, and I think I know that's the reason. So just to give a little bit of a shred of detail to this car. And it certainly looks real cool with the rear cowling off it. And let's just take a look. I mean, that's perfect. I mean, you look at that straight on. Again, it's like the Ford GT. I mean, that's perfect. It's perfect. Fantastic. Really good job, Hot Wheels. And when you consider, again, how much these cost from the... Oh, look at that. Yeah, there's the... Well, it's not perfect. But you look at what these cost from the Japanese sellers, or the Japanese manufacturers that produce these, and you consider that this is made to be, what, $5 at Walmart? You know, that's pretty spectacular, I have to say. Pretty good work there, Hot Wheels. I'm happy with this one, though I would like to see the rear wing fixed. So is this the best ever Hot Wheels set? Let me know down in the comments. Let me know which car you're willing to pick up. Let me know if you found these out in the wild. I'd be kind of interested to see how easy or how hard it is to find these going forward. I'm certainly going to be looking for maybe another set or two to pick up, particularly that 787B. That is still my favorite, though. I mean, yeah, I think the Porsche... The two Group C cars are really, really the standouts here. And I'd give an honorable mention to the Daytona. Even though it is slightly inaccurate, I think they did a really good job on that one as well, particularly on the historical accuracy side. So thank you guys so much for watching. This has been David Land on YouTube. Subscribe for more motorsport content, and we'll see you in the next video.